So first of all, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I know you're a really busy guy. So again, seriously, thank you so much. So I have just recently heard of you through my friend Arist, who I'm sure you know. You might have worked with him through Vira marketing. And
Right.
And I love EDM. I love pop music. And when I first met you, or not when I met you, sorry, when I first heard of your music, my jaw dropped. I was like, you are so talented.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And it's cool. I didn't realize that you were from a small town in Sweden. My boyfriend's actually from Sweden.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I think he's
sweet.
He's near Stockholm, I think.
Okay, sweet. Oh, awesome. That's a big coincidence. He maybe knows about my town. It's but then I used to live outside of that town. Then you understand? It's like a small town and a village outside of that town. But yeah, you have to ask him if he knows where Lidköping is.
I will. I definitely will.
Yeah.
So how did you get into music in the first place? Was your family musically inclined? Did you just find it on your own?
Yeah, so for me, it started when I was 12 years old, and I got this insane obsession that I needed to start playing guitar. And it was very strange because nobody in my family played guitar or nothing, no instrument. My sister is a singer, but no instruments. And I was watching Metallica, and I just went insane. I was like, I need to do that, basically. And the first guitar they bought me was a classical guitar, which was kind of a bummer. I was expecting this cool electric, metal shred guitar, and I got this nylon classical guitar. So the first, and honestly, I didn't really care. It was a little bit of a bummer, but the first 2 years I only practiced. I got classical lessons with a teacher.
Wow,
and that's basically how it all started. Yeah, and he was actually a saxophone player, the first teacher that I had. Yeah, which is very different. So I kind of had him, and then he had limited guitar, ability. So I kind of jumped past him pretty quick. And then just got more and more teachers. And when I was 15, I went to this very special music school in Sweden. It's called Music and Production. Actually nurtured a lot of big talents in Sweden. It was a very open school. Our teachers were awesome because they were real musicians. Maybe not the best teachers, but they really taught you how it is to become a musician directly. If you sucked in the studio, they were like, that was not so good. So they were pretty rough, but if you just picked up the information, you learned so much there. And then I studied jazz and came out of school when I was 18, obviously in Sweden. Didn't do college, and I went to Asia, and I played 2 years in Asia. That was my first gig.
Yeah, I saw that you were 19 when you went professional, which is so
it was pretty insane. Honestly, I was living in Copenhagen. I'm not going to sideline too much in the stories because it's going to go crazy. But I moved down to Copenhagen because I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I kind of realized quickly that I'm not going to get any gigs unless I actually sit down and try to find them, because nobody was looking for me, obviously. So I went down there. I worked because my brother was working as a circus artist, as a clown in a show there. So I worked in the show as a bartender, like a runner. It was so much fun. And at the same time, this was 2009, 2010. YouTube just started, basically, it kind of started popping off. And I was just uploading these videos where I shredded to different songs, that were hot at that time, like Akon and shit. It's kind of crazy. And then I found this production company, and they were doing all these gigs in Asia with different bands at clubs and hotels. And so I sent an audition, and then they called me, and then I did a live audition. And then he was like, pack your bags, you're going to Nam. And I was like, what? So then 2 months after that, I flew to Vietnam, and my mom was crying at the airport. She was like, because the gig was at least 1.5, 2 years, minimum stay, and I was so happy on the plane. I got wasted. I was like, fuck yeah. And then I did that whole thing. Yeah. And that's basically how the journey started for me. And fast forwarding, came home, did a lot of different gigs. I went to the Middle East and stuff like this. And then I got really into songwriting. And my first songwriting thing that I did was actually J-pop and K-pop, writing for Japan. Yeah. So I have a couple of cuts in Japan. Nobody knows about this.
Oh, Really? I was
Uh,
gonna say K-pop's gotten so big recently. I'm surprised you haven't like tried collabing with like BTS or something.
oh, I mean, honest, it's a dream to get a cut with BTS. That would have been, I mean, then I would have been sitting in the Hollywood Hills right now for sure. But they didn't exist back then. Honestly, this was, I think I got my first cut 2015. I don't think they even started that time. So it was pretty crazy. But there's so many K-pop and J-pop bands. You'd be amazed, and like if you get into that thing and you have a publisher, you can just like pump out songs like crazy. So that
Yeah.
was the first songs that I wrote,
Oh my
K-pop
God.
songs.
That's
Yes.
ridiculous.
That's pretty weird, right?
Wow, that's definitely a very diverse background because I just read it's like, okay, grew up in Sweden, toured in Asia, Middle East, and Europe. I didn't realize K-pop was
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Is that
So,
where you got your EDM
oh,
focus?
yeah, I mean, I would say I always loved, like Max Martin pop, that mainstream pop kind of Billboard part. And there's a lot of that actually when you make K-pop and stuff. You use a lot of pop elements, and you can be very creative. So I think it was just a good way for me to get into songwriting, because the lyrics doesn't have to be that sophisticated. Like obviously now you write very differently. You have metaphors and you understand how to build a story. So it was just a good starting point, and the only thing that I kind of had access to at that point. Um, so yeah, it was a good start basically for me with songwriting.
Very cool. What were your inspirations for songwriting?
I mean, 100% Max Martin. He's like, for everybody in Sweden, artists and singers and instrumentalists, he's like the god. He he's been like dominating the Billboard charts for the past 30 years. It's just ridiculous. And nobody ever sees him ever.
Has anyone ever met him?
However, yeah, actually I did. I met him in Stockholm this October last year. He was walking with his dog. Like, yeah. I mean, I think he's just in the studio 24/7, for 30 years.
Right.
Not really a party guy, probably going out to clubs and stuff. I don't think that ever happens. He does a lot of pop, Taylor Swift,
Oh,
Ariana Grande. Yeah, a lot of the hits of the weekend. In Your Eyes, the new stuff is all Max Martin. It's ridiculous.
oh my gosh, I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean he's like the hidden king, the hidden master of these hits.
Oh, I can't
Yes.
imagine.
So that would be my biggest influence for sure.
Very cool. So you recently moved to LA and you've been growing up in
Yes.
Europe your entire life. How are the States?
I love the United States.
Really?
And in all honesty, yeah, I've been back and forth since 2015. But for me to like nail the artist visa it's pretty tricky to get it done. It's hard to get from Europe. You would be surprised, especially if you want to work and like make money and get into the system. But I got really lucky. Like 2019, I met a lot of good people. My sponsor is actually a real super rock star. Do you know the band Matchbox 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guitarist Adam Gaynor, he is my sponsor. He's like my dad.
That's
it's crazy. So I met Adam like in 2019, and we became really good friends, and he just helped me with everything. It
that's
was
amazing.
sick.
That's so incredible. So has LA changed the way you've created music, produced music, especially during a pandemic, especially, they're taking it so seriously.
Right. I mean, honestly, not, because I just came back here in February. So my visa got approved early last year, and I couldn't go because all the embassies were shut down.
Mhm.
So I was kind of stuck in Sweden. So I spent a lot of last year just crafting new songs and releasing. I released 18 songs last year,
Mhm.
and I finished an album like in the autumn season. So it was a lot of work to get it done. So now it's like the biggest goal now is just to get everything out and like maximize the marketing and PR, to really make the project so as much people as possible can hear it, obviously.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So speaking of PR, how did you get involved with Vira? How did you figure it out? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them?
I honestly can't remember how we even started that. Like, I think it was on Instagram. Like, it's just random contacts, and like I'm always trying to find new ways to push the songs, because as your boss knows, like I'm an owner of Loud Cult, the label. Me and my partner, we are the ones who started it, so we have a very good sense of how to push songs, you know, with playlists and stuff like that. But there's always new people coming all along, you know, all the time basically. So there's many possibilities. You just have to go out there and find them and try to see what works.
Yeah, that's what I learned too. I used to, when I was a few years ago, I tried being a vlogger, and I just was like putting out as much content as possible to try to just, you know, basically throwing shit against a wall to see what would stick. And you know, some people are lucky, some people aren't. And I didn't even think that like music marketing was even a thing, or just influencer marketing. You know, I had no idea. I just thought that you just got famous. You know, I didn't know. How has Vira helped you with your marketing?
I think with the adding that on to songs, I always believe in marketing. You should take like as many puzzles and bits as you can, and you just put it together, because you know you can't really only rely on the third-party playlists. You can't really rely on the ads. Definitely cannot rely on Spotify and editorial playlists because it's super random. And it's just a matter of like pushing all that together. And I mean, obviously, you probably see now like TikTok is a massive part of the music industry, because it's so easy to convert all the people, since they're so young, to get them to the streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. So it's just putting all the parts together basically.
Yeah, I mean,
and then trying, you know.
Oh yeah, I totally see. You know, I didn't realize how many facets of marketing there was until I dived into it myself. You have a new album coming out, which is extremely exciting. There's what, 12 tracks, so it's like the biggest project you've done thus far.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know what I've been doing, because I've been just pushing singles, which is, it's so easy to just get stuck in that nowadays. And that's why last year I did 2 EPs, because I was like, okay, I got to try to push a bigger project. And as an artist, because my end goal is to get out on tour and get the shows, like bigger shows, you need a lot of songs to, you know, being able to book yourself and get that thing going. So this is actually an album that I would love to play, and it's going to be better live than it is like on the record. So that was the whole idea. There's so many vocals on this album, it's ridiculous. I felt like I almost killed myself in November, because I'm the one that's editing all the vocals also, with tuning and melodyning, and it's like when you heard yourself for the 500 million time, you're like, but there's some songs on there which are insane in my opinion. You know, they're a step up in quality, sound wise, vocal wise, and mix wise. So that feels really, really good.
Oh, nice. Do you have a home studio that you work in?
Yeah, so luckily enough, in Sweden, I have my main producer. He's extremely talented, been around for a couple of years, done a lot of stuff in Sweden. And he sits in a very nice studio in the countryside as well, which was so good for us, because there's no distractions whatsoever. You go out and you see, like, you know, a cow. So we had great equipment there. It's a big room, which is pretty rare nowadays. So we actually just slept there, you know, 2 weeks in a row, and then took 2 days off, and then just did more days sleeping. I slept on the floor on a mattress. This is definitely like blood, sweat, and tears into this.
I was gonna say, it's very humbling to sleep on a mattress. I did that all summer, and multiple couches.
I love that though. Yeah, I love it. I love the couch sleeping. It never gets old for me. I'm like, I love it. And it's just like when you're in it also, you know, like, and we drink red wine, we get in the vibe. And I feel like with songwriting, once you have the flow, you should just like keep on going. And that's what we did. We didn't really have a set number of songs, obviously. We were like, okay, let's do as much as we can, and then try to like tie it together basically. And that's why it became 12 songs basically. It could have been more, it could have been less. Like, it was just, we were just exhausted in the end, because we're only 2 people. Also, you have to think, when some of these major stars are doing an album, it's 900 people involved with songwriting and producing. And but I like it that way. If you can do it yourself, like, you should just keep on hammering it, you know.
100%. I also saw that, you know, obviously you're still an independent artist, even though you own a record label, and you're so successful. You're sponsored by Yamaha at one point. You did a video with them where you reached over 19 million streams on Spotify as an independent artist, and you were dubbed one of the top 50 hottest guys in Scandinavia pop, according to Scandi Pop.
That is the funniest thing. I love it.
I know, I looked at your website and there's like just like a bulleted like list of like all your accomplishments, and I was like, okay, looking, and I was like, wait a second, what? I was like, Scandy Pop? Never heard of it. I was like, that's so
know
incredible.
it's so weird. It's so weird. Honestly, a lot of those things I used on the website was for my visa as well. So I can see it. I'm over 100 million streams as an artist, indie. And so it's went up a lot since then, like
Yeah.
a lot. But it's, you know, it changes so fast, and it's like a lot of songs built on your catalog. And but I'm not signed. I never signed anything. I did a deal with this album though. I can't really tell you too much about it, but it's still an independent deal. And it's like, you know, even though I own a label, I could always release on my own label. But I just want to try some new stuff, you know, because in the US it's so different also with the territory. You need to kind of have someone here that can handle the projects and stuff. So that's why I wanted to try that. And I wanted to get 2 big features, which I managed to do now, which you will see who they are. I can't really tell you that either, but it's definitely going to be a next level project. It will look, you know, not A-list, maybe like B- list. That's where I will come up to that level at least. I think.
Incredible. I've seen you do a few collabs, one with Tiesto, Usher,
Yes.
G-Eazy, Nelly Furtado. What's your dream collaboration?
Oh my God. I think honestly, it would be doing a song with Max Martin. That'd be sick. I think it's gonna happen for sure at one point. You know, you just have to. I feel you have to like earn it to like do something at that level, basically. Because everybody still. I mean, I feel the same. You want to work with people that are really talented and really easy to work with.
Right.
And that's why I've been like so spoiled with Johan, because he's a genius, and he's an insane musician also, like talent wise.
So you started out in guitar. What other instruments have you branched out into?
I can play bass basically, you know, like I can't play like a bass pro, but I did gigs on bass, so I can do that definitely. A little bit of keyboards obviously for producing, and yeah, basically those instruments. Singing, all string instruments are pretty similar, you know.
100%. So you've accomplished a lot, obviously, as I said before, 50 hottest guys in Scandinavia, but what dream do you still want to fulfill, and what are you still striving to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever an end to like a music, you know, career. It's always more and more stuff. Is same in the label world, you know, like we working like crazy, and it's just you're reaching newer levels and you get more successful, but it just like it never ends, right? But I would say for me, I definitely want to play as many countries as possible in cities, because that's the thing that I'm like the best at. I like the studio thing, but it's not my favorite. Like I can do it for 2-3 months and just hammer through the projects to get it done. But then, you know, I actually want to go out and perform it and see how it actually works for a crowd, you know. So yeah, getting that started, and also now to see how in what capacity you can do it also, you know, that's going to be the second step up for me. And honestly, I think that's when I'm really going to reach my super core audience, because I've done a lot of gigs, and it's so easy to like, you know, get a connection with them compared to just trying to push something online, because there's a limit to that. You know, how do you get famous on Spotify? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you have no connection to the fans whatsoever. It's that's why I also believe, as a true artist, platforms like YouTube and stuff is super important, because people need to see you, right, and understand what it is. Otherwise it's just a song, a track. Like there's nothing really interesting about that if you think about it, because there's so many songs also. And I know the numbers, there's like 40,000-50,000 new tracks every Friday. It's insane. Like, it's, imagine to just stick out there, you know, you have to do something very, very special. I have to get naked and stand on Statue of Liberty or something. I don't know.
I know.
No, but there's so many aspects, you know, you have to like count in, and I think the live thing is really important for me.
Yeah, I saw that you did even something on your Instagram that you're like asking questions and you're just, connecting with your fans. What's the
Yeah.
biggest way for you to connect with your fans, given that, we're in a pandemic, you can't exactly meet them. If you do, it's like 6 feet away.
I'm trying out a lot of things with Instagram Live. I'm doing a lot of TikTok now as well, trying to like figure that out. Honestly, haven't really got it yet. I don't really understand it. Because like, I can do the same thing with the guitar videos, but it doesn't really work for TikTok. So it feels like there you have to do more homey kind of like direct videos. It needs to be very raw. But definitely the Instagram lives to reach out to people. I meet a lot of people, and I also like try to infiltrate them a little bit every time. So I might pick up like 2-3 new fans every day when I'm out. And I actually done it you'd be surprised at the supermarkets. They're like, "Oh, I like your jacket." I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm an artist. You should check me out here." Honestly, I made a lot of like good listeners that way, because it's interesting for them to see, and it's like it's so much easier to sell yourself when you can do it personally once again.
Totally. I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, it sounds like music honestly is your entire life. You have a record label, you're an artist, you're a singer, songwriter, producer. What do you do besides music?
So like every day there's a lot of label work for me, and obviously music stuff. And then I like to work out. I go out a lot, like walk, and like just try to enjoy California because it's beautiful. Honestly, like for a Swedish person to be here, it's like a dream. Like I'm used to waking up and it's 40 minus outside. You're like, oh, what a beautiful day. And so it's very nice here. Yeah, I'm always looking into new things. Also, I like interesting concepts, and I love the tech world, for an example. Also, future goal for me to get into something totally different than music, because I think it's interesting, and if it can help humanity, it's a very good thing.
100%. Yeah, you definitely seem like a very multifaceted guy. What has been, even though you are very talented, it seems like music comes very easy to you. What has been one of your biggest challenges when it comes to music?
I mean, I would say it's still an ongoing challenge to reach more fans and to actually get real bookings and stuff. It takes a lot of time and the right contacts. Sometimes you can have a massive package, right? That is easy to sell, but you don't have the plug to do it. So that has been a thing for me. I've been very like hidden and just built. But once I reached the best possible contact I can get, I have a couple of them obviously now. It will be a great thing, but that's the hardest thing. I feel it's definitely a contact business, and kind of all businesses. If you know this guy or this girl, and she knows that guy and this girl and this guy, and then you might meet someone who is at the top of the food chain, kind of, and it's way easier to do things.
Oh, totally. I definitely learned that too, like trying to get in contact with people, trying to get certain interviews, and I have to know this person to know this person, or to get to this person who then knows this person. It's kind of head spinning.
Right. Yeah, and it's all, honestly, it's all coincidences. Basically, you could be at a party, right, and then there's the exact person that you're supposed to meet, and that makes sense. But that's only one part of the puzzle also. So like, if you haven't done the gritty, boring, shitty work where you have to build yourself, you have nothing to sell, right? So it's a double-edged sword. I know a lot of people with great contacts, but with nothing. They can't sell anything. So it has to be, you have to kind of like coexist both of those things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm
Right.
I'm just starting out, and technically in like the music industry. I'm, want to go into journalism and marketing and stuff like that. So this is like my first real job. So this interview is
That's
like,
cool though.
I know this interview is huge. Like I've been telling all of my friends about you for like a week. I'm being completely
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I love
it. Okay, as someone who's starting out, because I work with a lot of independent artists, people who just have like 3,000 followers, maybe less than 1,000 listens on Spotify, whatever, what is your biggest advice to them when it comes to either marketing themselves, their music, connecting with people?
Right. I would be 100% start with the songs, build the, the back catalog, because that is your bread and butter. And it's, once again, you can be the best carpenter, but if you haven't built any houses, what are you supposed to sell? Like, there's nothing to sell. It's easier if you have 12 songs, and not all of them are, of course, not going to go well. It's the same for me. Like, out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10 songs are actually taking off. And then 2 more of those songs are taking off after 2 years. It's like, you have to think of this as long game. I'm really trying to educate our artists that we have on Loud Code as well to be a little bit more patient, because some people, they expect worldwide success in 3 months. I'm like, please have a look at your biggest idols and take a little look about the road they've been doing to get there. It might have taken 10 years. Like, have the patience and focus on the music. Like, get the music out, don't wait. Definitely not now.
Totally, I cannot agree more. I mean, some people, they have been legitimately an overnight sensation. Like Post Malone was literally an overnight sensation, but it was a matter of keeping his fans. How have you kept your fans, I guess, like on their toes, waiting, keep them invested in your music?
Just trying to remind them that there's going to be more and more and more and more, because also my fans, which overall in pop music, they're extremely content hungry. So when I released the EP, the first one, 2 weeks after, they're like, when is the next song coming? I'm like, what? Just released these 5 songs, what's happening? But I understand it. I have the same thing. I'm like, once you see something you like, you want to have more, and you want it quick, basically. So I kind of set my brain already to be in that hustle mode, regardless of what. It doesn't matter if I get a very, very big song or what. I'm just going to continue pushing out music for at least a couple more years, so then there's a massive catalog for people to listen to. That also, it coexisted easy, because once you have new material, it's easy to keep them entertained, obviously,
Oh, totally. I don't know if you've heard of Rockhampton. Maybe you have. They're Rockhampton. They're phenomenal. They're unbelievable. They're like a 13-piece boy band. Their strategy was to just keep pumping out music. Like, they just put it on every platform, like multiple times. Like, on their albums, they'll have like the same songs even from like previous albums, just trying to basically just flood the internet, and it worked.
Right.
But other times,
it's definitely it's a great strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that's all they did. They just bombarded every forum, every anything with their music, and finally people listened. Despite how much you've done in music, very involved in the music industry, and you have very dedicated fans, how do you stay grounded and humbled? Especially, now you're living in LA, and that's notoriously known for the land of stars in Hollywood.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, here, I'm like nobody, basically. Like, I have my contacts, but nobody really knows who I am here. So it's, it's like a stepping stone once again. I feel when I'm sitting there with Rihanna and having a drink, then I might be like, yeah, now I'm at a good level. I'm definitely not there yet. But it's all coincidence once again, and that thing doesn't really matter to me at all, honestly. This, the music is the most thing that I care about, and I feel I have kind of the Prince mindset. I could easily lock myself in a studio in Alaska for 10 years if I need to. I don't really care that much about the surroundings. It's just, the physical stardom is not that attractive to me. It's just more about pushing out great songs, and that's a real legacy, I feel, as an artist.
Oh yeah, that's the thing I've learned about people in this industry, is that fame is the downside of all the content that they create. Like, people don't ask for fame. They want their art to make a difference in the world. And, then you have tabloids and paparazzi. Have you had any paparazzi experiences in California at all?
No, definitely not. No, I'm here I'm probably a W famous W artist. It's not even ABC, D, E, F, G, H, I. I'm like, I'm far down, can forget. No, definitely not. But I think there's so many cool artists out there. Like, do you know Frank Ocean?
Yeah, I saw him in concert. He's
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean, there's like nothing there. He didn't show his face for like, what was it, 6 years, and then all of a sudden he drops a hit album. That kind of stuff I think is really cool, because it feels weird to me when your fame is the thing that's going to sustain you economically, in comparison with your work. It's very volatile, because fame goes up and down, right? You're popular in periods, and it should always be, in my opinion, the real work that should be your core thing while you're actually selling. But
Then, so are you very well recognized in Europe? Like if you walk down the street, are people like turning heads?
I mean, maybe in certain parts in Sweden, but not that much either. I mean, there's so many big people on streaming, and in Europe it's also very special. Territories are very separated, so you might be big in Scandinavia, but then Germany is a massive music market as well, and they also have a lot of old school things there. TV and radio matters in certain regions. But I mean, it's getting there. Basically, I'm getting more and more fans, and people recognize you, and they heard my song on the radio and stuff, and it's cool. I try not to pay attention too much to that, because I don't really care about that. It's just, I'm stuck in the song game now. I'm like, I have to hustle as much as I can.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, I mean, I'm really glad to hear that you have a good head on your shoulders, because I know it's not normal times. It's like you kind of move into LA and all of a sudden you're like, it's kind of hard to meet people because pandemic. Have you met your neighbors? Do your neighbors know who you are?
Oh my God, we had a lot of parties here already. It's pretty ridiculous. Everybody here is a lot of fun. There's a lot of entertainment people in these conflicts as well, so it's great. Obviously I had a lot of contacts before I came here from like 2-3 years earlier, but I'm meeting new people every day, and it's great. It's opening up a lot actually in LA.
Oh,
So it's a
good.
good vibe.
Good. I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that. Who are your closest friends? Just people you just hang out with, talk to? Is there anyone, whether they're industry out, oh my God, words, whether they're in the industry, out of the industry?
I mean, there's a big mix basically. Some people are retired and you're super rich. Those are the most interesting ones. And then there's a lot of people that are in the hustle, I would want to call it, and we're doing the same things: recording, releasing, recording, and yeah, it's a big mix of people, but obviously a lot of entertainment people. It's just fun.
What has been the biggest difference in the culture between America and before you came to America? Were you living in Sweden?
Yes, so I only came on tourist visa back and forth basically a lot of times. I mean, here I feel people give like the US a lot of shit, but you really can go from nothing to everything here. In Europe, it's not that easy to do that, because especially in Scandinavia, everybody's like kind of on the same level. That's the point of the society there. Where here, of course, like it's massive differences and it's pretty crazy, but you can basically get where you want to go much, much faster. And the big machines for entertainment are here, obviously, and like the real money, basically.
Where in LA are you?
I live in Marina del Rey, so I'm right by the beach. It's really nice. But yeah, I used to be in West Hollywood before, which is like more in the city.
Yeah, I know.
So it's a very, very different vibe to be here, and the people are very different here. Nobody works here. So I'm like amazed. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Just driving Ferraris and boating, and that's what they do here. Like,
Yeah.
You don't really see any active working.
Yeah, I've heard in LA people describe, like, as opposed to like, oh, what do you do? Like, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I'm a teacher. Like, people in LA, they'll describe what they just do on a day-to-day basis. Like, oh, I host a podcast and I work at the coffee shop for about 45 minutes. It's like, yeah, but like, what do you do? I don't know what you do.
Right, yeah. I'm like, how do you drive a Maserati? Like, tell me. No, but it's understandable also, like a lot of wealth would be collected in these areas, because like it's very nice to live on the beach, and it feels like you're on vacation every day, right?
With your upcoming album, you said you write your songs, you sing. What is your favorite part of is it like the producing part where you're editing it? Is it the singing part? Is it everything? Do you have like a certain niche when it comes to singer, songwriter, producer?
When the song is finished. No, I mean, I would say the first, yeah, actually, no, actually, I would say when I'm done with the lead vocal and I like nailed it, and me and Joanne, my producer, feel like, okay, this is sounds sick, you know. That's when I feel it's the best, because that lead is the worst. Like, trust me, on some of these songs, which you probably feel and hear, I spent like 8 hours just to nail like the perfect lead, which is not that much time either, in all honesty. But so like the singing part, it feels like a workout almost when you sit for 14 hours in a way and you're like, "Ah," it's just hitting all those notes. In the end, you're like, shit, am I gonna be able to do this? But it kind of, in a way, it kind of always works also, you know. I believe in when you feel, okay, shit, I'm not gonna be able to do this, like you just have to push it through and just like go through, take a little break, and then come back to it. So yeah, when you put in that first lead and you kind of hear how the song is actually gonna sound, I like that the most.
And do you sing all of your songs?
Yeah, it's all me. Like and to difference, you know, I have done songs with DJs, but I wouldn't really classify myself as a DJ. I'm more, you know, pop mainstream artist, basically songwriter. So yeah, 100%. That is my specialty.
What do you base the lyrics off of? Just what's going on in your day-to-day life, past experiences, stories?
Yeah, I mean, a mix of all of that, and which you will hear on this album also when it's released. There's a couple of songs that are really kind of like country lyrics, very, you know, metaphorically well written, because that was one of our goal here as well, to really step up the songwriting and not do the baby 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 kind of bullshit, like, because I feel I can't really do that anymore. Like I have to elevate the quality, right? So yeah, a lot of different things. What happened like that week, what happens in the world. We we wrote a song named Sex Tape because I saw like a news flash or like some documentary where this is pretty tragic, but it kind of shows you what inspires me. It's like 30% of like I think it was 15 to 21, the girls, like their dream was to do a sex tape and get famous. That was like 30% of them. It was ridiculous. So I was like, shit, we got to do a song about this because it's pretty insane. And I didn't know about that before, you know? So yeah, it's things like that. It could be a thing you see on TV or you know, something that happens or someone you're thinking of, or many aspects, you know?
Are you seeing anyone in quarantine right now? Not if you don't want to answer it, that's cool.
I mean, I live with my partner here. She's from New York. Yeah.
She's from New York?
So she's from New York, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like in the city?
Yes.
How did you meet her?
Oh my God, that story is very interesting and kind of long, but yeah, we had our first date in Paris.
Oh.
And we both never been there.
Oh my God, is she there?
She's sitting here, just like, oh.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh, you really set the bar high. Your first date in Paris.
I know, right? What? Yeah, but I feel I'm a little bit crazy. That's the problem. I just like go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have such a big, huge personality. Have you always been this outgoing?
I mean, I think from when I went to Asia, I learned so much about like just talking to people, and you know, I would play all these clubs, and our boss was really funny. He had this, which he was really smart. He had this thing where every break we played a lot. We played like 4 sets, and then we had 20 minutes, you know, breaks. Every break we had to go out in the audience, just cold talk people, which is so weird. Yeah, so I would go up to a table and be like, "Hey, my name is Alex. How you guys doing? You having a good night?" And you know, in Vietnam, they don't speak that much English, so people just look at me. And one thing they did that was really funny, which kind of broke me in the beginning, some guys were just waving me away, go. So I felt like I got so much practice of like cold talking, and actually it's not that hard to connect with people anywhere. It's just people are not really trained socially to do it. I think that's the problem. because how are you supposed to do that unless you're forced maybe at some point to be that way, you know? So
Right.
it opened me a lot, because I would say was probably way more shy in that first year in Vietnam, but after that I was just like an open flower, like no fear whatsoever. He's like, go and talk to those girls, Alex. I'm like, okay. Like, it's just, why not? Like, we're doing it every night, you know. It's just like you get used to it. So it's a good way to just connect to people, basically.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
If you think about it, what do we like to do the most as like humans?
Talk.
We like to talk about ourselves, right? It's basically the easiest thing. It's just, it's not that hard. It's like, hey man, how you doing? Where you been today? Like, what? Have you been on the beach? Was it hot? Like, it's so much to say, you know. So it's just, unfortunately, it feels like we're losing a little bit of this social like, you know, the social thing we have between each other with the pandemic and phones as well. But like, it's, hopefully it comes back like more and more.
Yeah, I hope so too. Just before we sign off, when is your new album? Is it May 4th? Your new album?
So May 4th is the first single, and I think we're going to plan a second single in end of May. And the decision to have a third single, we don't really know yet, but I'm planning the album July, August. I'm gonna shoot 2 really dope music videos as well. So I want the whole package to be done, you know, basically. And maybe hopefully use one of the features in the video as well. We'll see if I can pull this through. That would be very big if I can make that happen. But it looks good. It feels like a sidelined on every question. I'm sorry. It's just like,
No, you're fine. That's
goes
great.
crazy.
I love. I mean, if you just want to word vomit, that's just like the best thing, honestly, that could ever happen to me when it comes to interviewing people. So
well, I'm good at that the word pooping for sure. I can do that. Could go on to tomorrow.
I love it. I love it.
It's
Oh
gonna
my
be the
God.
longest podcast in the history of time. No, I think that's good. It's a good overview, and you know, if you have any artists out there, I'm always promoting. You know, we have Loud Cult. I'm the owner of Loud Cult. They can always DM me songs, send me stuff. Always, you know, we're always looking for great artists.
Cool. So where can we find your music?
Alex Alexander on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer if you use it, Tidal if you use it as well, and then all social media platforms. Alex Alexander. You will find me everywhere.
Nice. I'll say very powerful name, Alex Alexander. Is that your real name?
It's part of my name. My real name is Alexander, and then my last name is Almqvist, which is very different, very Swedish. So it was easier to do Alex Alexander. They're like, here we have Alexander Almqvister.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day again to talk to me. And, you know, just working with our company, we appreciate you so much, and you're so talented. And I'm so excited to hear all the upcoming music and singles and whatever. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been the highlight of my week. I'm such a big fan.
Hey, you're so cute. I can't even believe it. Thank you so much. You're really gonna dig the new songs. It's gonna be a step up. I promise you. That's the thing. So I'm excited to show you guys that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy California.
Hey, you too.
Bye.
Oh my God, I will. Bye bye.